Hello, 7th grade math students. As you can see, I am not here today, but that doesn't mean that we can't move on to our next topic. So I just want to take about 15 minutes here and kind of go through a normal lesson as if I were there, and hopefully you'll have plenty of time to do some to complete your worksheet and you won't have any homework over the weekend. So our schedule for today, if Mrs. Peterson has not collected your homework, she will by the end of the period. We will be going through a couple of slides on 9.4, which is on function rules. And then after that, you should have plenty of work time on the homework. 9.4 is almost exactly like 9.3. Just a few changes that I want to make you aware of, and then you guys can use your class time wisely so you don't have homework over the weekend. So, starting off, we have 9.4 function rules. Please put all this in your notes. Okay, so 9.4 function rules, and our first topic that we're going to cover is writing a function rule. Okay, and writing a function rule is pretty much just like an expression, writing an expression like we did yesterday in class. Okay, so first of all, let's make a table. And let's do time in hours. And then distance in miles. And the first hour we traveled 55, after 2 hours 110, after 3 165, and then after 4 220. Now just like yesterday, we're going to find that common difference, and here we can see that we've been adding by 55 each time. Now in doing that we can take our common difference right here. Okay, and then we have 55. Now instead of using x, we're going to use t for time. And that's pretty much the same thing as the expression that we did yesterday, but we're going to set this equal to d. Okay, distance equals 55 times time. And that's really the big difference between yesterday and today. Yesterday we were doing expressions, today we're doing equations. Okay, so this is a what we would call a rule. A rule has an equals sign in it, just like that. So now we can use an equation like this to see how far we could travel in, say, 8 hours. So then we could have d set equal to 55, and we can multiply that by 8, and then we'll find out that our distance in miles actually comes out to be 440 miles. So it's pretty close to what we were doing yesterday, but now we have an equal sign. It's an equation, not an expression. We actually have d equaling something. In this case, after 8 hours of travel, we have traveled 440 miles. And if you can notice, 55 would be actually our rate, and we'd be traveling at 55 miles per hour. I'll give you a little time to copy the rest of that down if you need to catch up. And we'll move on to our next slide. All right. The next one will be two smaller tables, but under the heading using tables to analyze functions. Okay, using tables to analyze functions. Okay, so our first table on the left here, it's going to look a little different than what we've had in the past. We're going to have x and y, 1, 2, oh, I'm sorry, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then for y, let's plug in. We got 0, -4, and -8, and -12. Okay, so let's write a rule for this. And it's a little different because we're not starting at 1, we're actually starting at 0, and they're giving us x and y. So we're going to talk about x as our input and y as our output. Okay, so just like we did yesterday, we're going to find out that, okay, so we added a -4 to go from our from this term from 0 to -4, and then added another -4, added another -4. So we have a common difference of -4. So what I'd like to do is down here at the bottom, I'm going to write the rule. Okay, and unlike yesterday, we're going to start out with y equals, and now we're going to use our common difference of -4, bring that down, -4x, and then we're going to add, and what we're going to add is actually our first y term here. We're going to bring that down and put that right there. Now, in this case, it's a little silly because it's 0, so really we could just rewrite it y equals -4x, and we could just leave out the 0 because adding 0, well, we don't need to write that. So it seems a little silly, but hopefully you understand the process. I'd like to go over another one here that doesn't have that case, but I'll wait a little bit for people to copy that down. So our final rule would be y equals -4x. Alright, the next table that I would like to analyze is here. We'll have x and y again. 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then our y values this time are going to be -3, -1, 1, and 3. Okay, just like yesterday, we have to find our common difference. So we're adding 2, adding 2, adding 2. So our rule is going to start off with y equals 2x, and then we're going to add our first y term again, bring that over here, and it's actually a -3. So y equals 2x plus a -3, and that looks a little silly, so let's rewrite that again. So we have y equals 2x stays the same, but if we add a negative, it's the same thing as just subtracting that same number. So instead of 2x plus a -3, we're going to have a final rule of y equals 2x minus 3. Y equals 2x minus 3. I'll leave that up there for a few more seconds just so everybody can copy it down. We just have one more topic that's pretty easy, just going forth from here. So our next topic, I just want to show you, so using the tables to analyze, we went from the table to the rule. And then on the next slides, what we're going to be doing is called evaluating functions. And that's basically going the other way. So we're going to be given a rule, and then we're going to be creating a table. So these last two examples, we were given a table, made the rule. Now we're going the other way. Rule, back to table. Okay, so if you want to draw a line underneath those notes and do one more heading of evaluating functions. Okay, and the function that I would like to evaluate is y equals 2x minus 4. Now that they've given us that, we have to plug in x values that we want in order to find our output. So here, we're going to create a table once again. This is going to be our x, which is our input. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write our rule right in here. 2x minus 4, y equals 2x minus 4. And then we're going to have 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add on a column here that just gives us our y output. Okay, and so evaluating is pretty easy. What we're doing is we're just going to be taking our x value and then plugging it in for x. So we're going to do y equals 2 times 0 minus 4, and we can say that equals negative 4. Because 2 times 0 would be 0 minus the 4. Now, same thing for y equals 1. 2 times 1 minus 4. 2 times 1 would be 2. Minus the 4 gives us a negative 2. Y equals 2 times 2 minus 4 equals 0. 2 times 2 would be 4. Minus 4 is 0. And the last one here at the bottom, y equals 2 times 3 minus 4 would give us a positive 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Minus 4 is 2. Now with this table, we can see that this right here would be our sequence. Our sequence would be negative 4, negative 2, 0, and 2. And we should now be able to understand that it is an arithmetic sequence, and our common difference here would be a positive 2. So evaluating a function is just taking it a step further and actually plugging in values for x, coming out with an output, and then we get our sequence there on the right. So negative 4, negative 2, 0, and 2. Those are the three things that I wanted to cover today. That should cover all of the topics for your 9-4 practice, which is the worksheet that you will have as homework. Okay, so 9-4 practice worksheet is your homework. 16 problems. 16 is a little tricky, but I'm sure a lot of you could figure it out. Please come on Monday with any questions that you have that I can clear up before we hand this in. Okay, so you'll have plenty of time to work on this. Have a good weekend, and I will see you all on Monday.